So till now we have seen this continuous time periodic signal, that is Fourier series representation in terms of exponential terms, right? So we are having our approximation of the sinusoids in terms of exponential terms. Okay, so that is what I just going to write. Today it is So what we have seen for a signal x of t with fundamental period t and fundamental frequency omega naught, that is twice pi by t, can be written as xt is equals to summation k is equals to minus infinite to infinite x of k e to the power j k omega naught t, and this x of k, this coefficient, Fourier series coefficients, can be written as integration 0 to t x of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt. Okay, so these are the ways by which we have been representing a signal as an approximation or you can say as an summation of complex sinusoids. This xt can be the approximation of the original signal x of t, where we have been taking some coefficients and those terms are been in sum with considering some complex sinusoids. Okay, so these coefficients can be found out like this. Now we can also represent this Fourier series as in trigonometric terms. Okay, so trigonometric Fourier series is also been used. So I am just writing the trigonometric Fourier series for a real valued signal can be expressed as x of t is b0 plus summation k is equals to 1 to infinite bk cos of k omega naught t plus ak sin of k omega naught t. Okay, so where is this b naught is 1 by t integration 0 to t x of t dt, then your b of k is 2 by t integration 0 to t x of t cos of k omega naught t dt, k of k 2 by t integration 0 to t xt sin k omega naught t dt. Okay, so this b0 is same as x0, whatever we have been found for a rectangular signal. Last day we have been seen for a rectangular signal, this value is for our k is equals to 0. So it is same as this b0 is same as your k of 0, that is a time average value of the signal. This b0 is same as x0, represents the time average value of the signal. Okay, and we can expand this cos and sine terms with respect to Euler's terms, Euler's formula. Then if we expanding cosine and sine terms using Euler's formula, then what we can get? Some exponential term. So that will result into this bk is x of k plus x of minus k, and your a of k is j of x of k minus x of minus k. Okay, so what we did, if we expand this cosine and sine terms with Euler's expansion or Euler's formula, then we are supposed to get exponential term. So we have been taken this xk representation with respect to exponential term. So we can able to get this bk as xk plus x of minus k, and ak, which is imaginary value, that is xk minus of x of minus k. So this is the relationship between trigonometric and exponential Fourier series. Okay, so it represents the relationship between trigonometric and exponential Fourier series. Okay, now whatever the square wave we have studied here last day, the square wave whatever we have seen, for this we have been derived all the Fourier series coefficients. We have derived all the Fourier series coefficients for this square wave, right? So we can able to find this values of k is equals to 0 and k other than 0 using this trigonometric Fourier series representation. We can also able to get this one. So if we take this trigonometric Fourier coefficient of the square wave and obtained by substituting these two values, where are these two? These values, this xk over here in this value, in this expansion, that is bk, xk, x of minus k, and ak of this imaginary value, if we put this xk over there, then we can also able to get the same result what we've been found by doing the exponential Fourier series. So what was our xk previously? Where is that expansion? Yes, this is the xk what we have been found. This is the xk we have found for k not is equals to 0. Okay, so same thing we can also derive. We can also able to derive using this formula, this representation of trigonometric Fourier series. Okay, so from this we can able to find this b0. b0 is same as x of 0. That is what we have found. For this b0 we have been found that it is twice t naught by t. So we can also able to find this is same as x of 0, that is twice t naught by t. Okay, and bk will be what we supposed to do. We are supposed to put this xk in this representation of this trigonometric Fourier series. So in this equation we are supposed to put this xk. So it will result into twice of sine k twice pi t naught by t by k pi for k naught is equals to 0, and this ak will be 0. This ak will be 0 since this xt is an even function. This xt is an even function, so this ak will be 0. So we can also represent this square wave in terms of the sum of harmonically related cosines. So okay, let me write this one first. So this sine coefficients ak are 0, sign coefficients are 0 because this xt is an even function. Okay, so therefore this square wave may be expressed as a sum of harmonically related cosines, because it is only an even function. It can be represented by even function, that is bk. So what we can do, we can take this xt as like this also. K is equal to 0 to infinite in terms of bk cos of k omega naught t. Okay, so we have been representing this xt by this trigonometric Fourier series coefficient bk. Why not ak? Because this xt is an even function.
Sir, remove the upper page.
So up to this is our Fourier series, because we have been till now we are dealing with continuous time signal, continuous time and discrete time for periodic case. Next we will start with discrete time non-periodic signal, that is DTFT. Till now we are dealing with periodic signal in both the cases, for this continuous time as well as for discrete time. Now we have been starting with non-periodic signal. First we will go with discrete time non-periodic signal. So this DTFT is used to represent a discrete time non-periodic signal as a superposition of complex sinusoids. Okay, so the DTFT is used to represent a discrete time non-periodic signal as a superposition of or sum of complex sinusoids. Complex sinusoids. So what we have seen, for DTFT or for any discrete time signal, our signal period is limited from minus pi to pi, because after that all the discrete sinusoids are having same frequency component. So that's why we have been taking all the complex sinusoids within the range of minus pi to pi. This frequency omega will be within the interval of minus pi to pi. So the DTFT would involve a continuum of frequency on the interval minus pi to pi. Where this omega is radians. Okay, so thus the DTFT representation of a time domain signal. So DTFT representation of time domain signal, that is x of n, it is 1 by twice pi integration minus pi to pi x of e to the power j omega e to the power j omega n d of omega. Okay, so where this x e to the power j omega is n is equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n e to the power minus j omega n. Okay, so this is the DTFT of the signal xn. So this x of e to the power j omega is the DTFT of the signal xn. So this x e to the power j omega and xn are known as DTFT pair. X e to the power j omega and x of n are DTFT pair. So on xn, if we go with DTFT, then we can able to get this x of e to the power j omega. Okay, so this transform x of e to the power j omega describes the signal xn as a function of sinusoidal frequency omega and is known as frequency domain representation of this xn. The transform x e to the power j omega describes the signal xn as a function of a sinusoidal frequency omega and is known as frequency domain representation of x of n. So this x of n, this one, let us take it as equation number 1, this is equation number 2. This equation number 1 is generally known as inverse DTFT, because what we supposed to do, from this x of e to the power j omega, which is known as DTFT of xn, so from this x of j omega we have been getting x of n, so that is known as inverse DTFT. Okay, so this equation number 1 is also known as inverse DTFT, inverse discrete time Fourier transform, because from this DTFT x e to the power j omega we can able to recover back our original signal x of n. So this DTFT is used to analyze the action of discrete time systems on discrete time signals. Okay, so DTFT is used to analyze the action of discrete time systems on discrete time signals. Now this infinite sum of this equation 2, this infinite sum converges if xn has finite duration, because we have been considering infinite numbers of terms of xn. So obviously this infinite sum of this equation 2 is only converges if xn has finite duration and is finite value. Okay, so I am just writing this line also. Infinite sum in equation number 2 converges if x of n has finite duration and is finite valued. Okay, obviously because we have been taking infinite numbers of terms, so depending upon the xn, either this xn is having certain finite duration or is having some finite value, depending upon that this dt of t x of e to the power j omega supposed to converge. So if xn is of infinite duration, then the sum converges only for certain classes of signal. If xn is of infinite duration, in most case if it is of infinite duration, then the sum converges only for certain, we are supposed to see what are those signals, classes of signals. So for that case what we can say, that this summation n is equals to minus infinite to infinite mod of x of n should be less than infinite. Okay, then if this is of finite value within this period, within this infinite period, if this magnitude of this xn is finite, then what we can say, then the sum, this sum is converging uniformly to a continuous function of omega. If it is of finite value, then the sum in equation 2 converges uniformly to a continuous function of omega. If xn is not absolutely summable, then what will happen? If this is of not finite value, if xn is not absolutely summable, but it satisfies summation n is equals to minus infinite to infinite mod of x square n, or we can write mod of xn square less than infinite, then what we can say, mod of x square infinite means it converges in a mean square error sense. That is what the mean square error, right? What we have seen, that xt minus xt, x square t minus x cap of t is less than infinite. That is, it is having certain mean square error. So if this is having certain value x square n less than infinite, when our xn is not absolutely summable, in that case if it satisfies this condition, then we can say this sum is converging in a mean square error sense. Then it can be shown that the sum in equation 2 converges in a means square error sense. but does not converge pointwise. That is what we have been taken for the Dirichlet condition. But does not converge pointwise. Okay, so the problem arises with this infinite sum. So this infinite sum diverge if this xn is of infinite duration as well as of infinite value. Now we want the DTFT must be finite and summable for the terms. What are the terms we have been considering in xn? So if this xn is of infinite duration as well as infinite sum, then that will obviously diverge. But this infinite sum converges if xn has finite duration as well as of finite value. Okay. Now if this xn is of infinite duration, then the sum converges only for certain classes of signal. Only for certain classes of signals, where spatial signals for which though our xn is of infinite duration, then also this sum will converge. So that is what we have been taken, that within that infinite duration, if our xn is of finite value, then the sum will converge uniformly to a continuous function of omega. Okay. Now if xn is not absolutely summable, but it satisfies this condition, then what we can say, that the sum in equation 2 converges in a mean square error sense. In a mean square error sense, but does not converge pointwise. Means on the axis, on the n axis, at every point it may not converge, but it can converge in mean square error sense. Now let us take an example, and that will be more clear. Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Sir, I am quite confused with the expression.
Which one?
Sir, in equation 1,
Yes.
in equation 1, capital X of that e to the power j omega is the coefficient. It is the coefficient of
Yes.
e to the power. So if it is the coefficient, then again when we are writing that in terms of summation, we are getting that in terms of xn.
Right.
So how will we calculate that? Because which one is the expansion and which one is the coefficient?
Means for this equation, for equation number 2.
Yes, sir.
Now obviously this x e to the power j omega are the coefficients. What is your question? I am not getting you. Just say it again.
Okay, sir. Let me give an example. Sir, in maths, when we are doing Fourier transform, for we got an fs and so what we are getting a naught, a and b n as the coefficient, and we are using that to calculate those coefficient, find the expansion. But here you are saying that first equation is the inverse of that, and again you are saying that
No, for that case, this an bn for the Fourier series, most probably you are saying for the Fourier series. So that was in terms of trigonometric Fourier series, right? That is what I have been written previously. This one. This one.
yes,
Right? There will be a bracket for this. Right?
Yes, sir.
So what we are doing, we are going with exponential Fourier series or exponential Fourier transform. Now what is your confusion for this equation?
Sir, because means if we consider this one, the first equation, as an inverse DTFT, so I'm confused with the coefficient, because
So what will be this x of e to the power j omega when we are supposed to do this inverse DTFT?
yes, sir.
So what is this x of e to the power j omega basically is? Or previously when we have been going with x of k for Fourier series, what was that? This x of k, if we go with this mod of x of k, it is magnitude response of x of n when we have been considering frequency as an x-axis. So in the frequency domain representation, this xk is the frequency domain representation. If we go with this mod, that is magnitude response while considering x-axis as a frequency. So that case k was the frequency for periodic signals. So if we have been going with this Fourier series, that is continuous time periodic signal. So for that x of k are the coefficients of Fourier series for a signal which is continuous time as well as periodic. So when we have been doing the xt, when we have been representing this xt as a complex sinusoids and we are doing the operation with respect to Fourier series, so what we are doing basically, we are supposed to represent that time domain signal in the frequency domain signal. Okay, by using Fourier series, basically if we have been going with xt, so that represents continuous time signal in the sense that our signal is periodic in nature. Now here this x e to the power j omega represents the coefficients in the frequency domain for a signal which is a discrete time as well as non-periodic in nature. Clear? Now if this frequency domain representation is given, then by doing this operation, that is known as inverse DTFT, we can able to construct the signal which is in the time domain as well as it is discrete time and non-periodic. That is what we are supposed to do. Clear? Or still? That was your doubt or something else?
Sir, so that means in the previous cases also, if we have the coefficients, then
obviously that is what we did. So in so many problems we did. We have been constructing our xt or xn by using the coefficients. We did this one by inspection method as well as by using the normal expression. We did this thing.
Sir, if we don't have the xn here given, and
which one?
Means eventually in questions we get that xn is given always, but we need to calculate the coefficient.
Right. So if we need to do the inverse one, that is also we can able to do. Means every time you may got this xn or xt, right? From that you are supposed to find out the Fourier series coefficients or Fourier transform coefficients. That is what suppose means you already did in your mathematics classes most probably, right?
Yes, sir.
So this inverse DTFT says that if this frequency domain coefficients are also given, you can able to construct this time domain signal. Nothing else. So let me do a problem, then that will be more clear. Let me go with the problem that some xn, this xn is given as alpha to the power n u of n. So we need to find DTFT of the sequence. Find DTFT of this sequence. Okay. So what we need to find out? X e to the power j omega. This thing we need to find out. So our xn is given. So this x e to the power j omega summation n is equals to minus infinite to infinite. This xn is alpha to the power n u of n e to the power minus j omega n. Okay, so un represents right hand side, right? So our n will start from 0 and going up to infinite. So what we can write, this summation will be start from 0 because this un is represents starting from 0 and going in the right hand side. So 0 to infinite alpha to the power n e to the power j minus j omega n, right? Now the problem arises here is that this sum will diverge if this magnitude alpha is greater than or is equals to 1, right? So what we need to take, that this alpha, mod of alpha, that is magnitude of alpha must be less than 1, then only this sum will converge or we have this convergent geometric series. right? So sum diverges, this sum diverges for mod of alpha greater than or is equals to 1 and for mod of alpha less than 1 we have the convergent geometric series. That is what we want. So what will be this x of e to the power j omega by considering alpha less than 1. Otherwise we can't able to get the summation of these terms starting from 0 to infinite. If we have been taking alpha greater than or is equals to 1, then we can't able to get a finite value of this summation. So it will be starting from n is equals to 0 to infinite alpha e to the power minus j omega whole to the power n. So easily we can able to find out this summation, that is 1 by 1 minus alpha e to the power minus j omega for mod of alpha less than 1. Clear up to this? Now from this expansion or from this result of this DTFT coefficients, we can able to find out the magnitude as well as the phase. We can able to find out the magnitude response as well as the phase response of this DTFT. Same thing what we did for the periodic signals, either for Fourier series or discrete time Fourier series. So we can expand this one using Euler's formula. So this x of e to the power j omega is 1 by 1 minus alpha cos of omega plus j alpha sin of omega. So from that we can find out the magnitude as well as the phase. So this magnitude x e to the power j omega, it is magnitude. So this one will be 1 by alpha square plus 1 minus twice alpha cos omega whole to the power half, and this argument of x of e to the power j omega is, it is 10 of alpha sin omega by 1 minus alpha cos of omega. Okay, so what we have considered, our alpha is less than 1. So we can take any value less than 1. Let us take alpha is equals to 0.5. Let us take alpha is equals to 0.5 and we supposed to plot this magnitude response and phase response. It is here magnitude response and this is your phase response. Okay, so let us plot this one. So this is with respect to omega axis, right? It is respect to omega axis, angular frequency. So if we plot, it is here, sorry, it is here omega. So in this axis, this is your mod of x e to the power j omega. Okay. So we have been considering alpha is equals to, let us consider for alpha is equals to 0.5. Alpha is equals to 0.5. Now if we take our omega is equals to 0, if we take our omega is equals to 0 for alpha is equals to 0.5, then what will be the maximum value we can able to get? For alpha is equals to 0.5, just try to find out. For omega is equals to 0, if we take omega is equals to 0, then cos of 0 is 1, alpha is 0.5, means it is 1 by 2, so it is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0 and it is 1 by 2 means 1 by 4. So it will be 1 by 2, that is 2, right?
Yes, sir.
It is 2. So for omega is equals to 0, we can able to get the magnitude of 2. So let us take this one. Let us take in this middle. It is omega is equals to 0. Let us consider. So we are supposed to have the magnitude of 2. So it is 2. Let us consider. Okay. Now if we go with this magnitude of, let us consider omega is equals to twice pi, then same thing will occur, right? Because it is cos term. It is cos term. If you go with twice pi, 4 pi, something like that, again it will result into the maximum magnitude 2, right? So if we go with, let us consider it is twice pi, it is twice pi, then it is also having 2. If we have been going with 4 pi, then also it is having 2. Same thing if we go with this negative side, let us consider this minus twice pi, it is also having 2. If we go with 4 pi, minus of 4 pi, it is also having this 2. Now what will be this intermediate value? What will be this intermediate value using this expression? If you go with pi, 0 to twice pi, in between if it is pi, then what will be the value? Find out. For pi, cos pi is how much? Minus 1. Cos pi is minus 1, right? So minus 1, right?
2 by 3, sir.
2 by 3?
By 3.
2 by 3?
Yes, sir. Overall value 2 by 3 आएगा.
For pi?
No, sir. Mod of x of
वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ, means if we take omega is equals to pi,
then alpha plus 1 का square overall 1
मैं मुझे बस फाइनल वैल्यू बोलो कितना है? 2 by 3.
Yes, sir.
2 by 3. So it is 2 by 3 means how much? It will be between 0 to 1, right? Right? It will be between 0 to 1. So if we consider this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, so it will be somewhere here in this range, right? In this dotted range. So this one starting from maximum 2 and going up to this line and again coming to this 2. So something like this, right? Again like this. Right? This kind of shape we are supposed to get, isn't it? Right? So this is for alpha is equals to 0.5. Next we are supposed to find out this phase. We are supposed to find out this phase. So same way we will go in the same way. It is on the omega axis. It is argument of x e to the power j omega. Same way we are supposed to find. So what will be the value at omega is equals to 0 for this argument? What will be this value? If we consider omega is equals to 0 here, then sin 0 is 0. Right? So 0 by 1 it is 0. Cos 0 is 1. Right? Cos 0 is 1. So if we consider half, so 1 minus half is half. So it will coming as minus 10. It is sin 0 0. Below it is half. So it is coming as tan of 0. Tan 0 is how much?
सर हेलो सर,
Yes.
सर माइनस 10 कैसे आएगा?
From this, I've been skipped some steps. You just go with this intermediate.
आर्गुमेंट ओके सर,
Understand? Minus b by a.
यस सर. और सर वो डाइवर्जेंस वाला एक बार किससे समझा दीजिए.
कौन सा
डाइवर्जेंस
यहाँ पे
कैसे करना है?
यहाँ पे
यस सर.
ये देखो ना, अल्फा टू द पावर n है, ठीक है, तो n तो हमारा 0 से इनफाइनाइट तक है, मान लो 0 से 100,
यस सर.
ठीक है. अगर हम लोग अल्फा का वैल्यू कुछ वैल्यू ले जो ग्रेटर देन 1 और 1 है, अगर हम लोग 1 लेते हैं तो ये कहाँ तक जाएगा, मान लो कि इनफाइनाइट नंबर्स है, सो 1 प्लस 2 प्लस 3 अप टू n. सो इफ इट इज अप टू इनफाइनाइट देन द समेशन विल बी इनफाइनाइट.
यस सर.
If it is greater than 1, let us consider 2. So 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power 4, 2 to the power 5, 2 to the power 100, 2 to the power infinite. So ये infinite ही होगा.
यस सर.
अगर हम लोग less than 1 है, so मान लो कि 0.5 to the power 1, 0.5 to the power 2, 0.5 to the power 3, जैसे जैसे पावर बढ़ेगा वो tends to 0 होगा, नीचे की तरफ आएगा, क्योंकि हमारा जो ये मैग्नीट्यूड पार्ट है ये लेस देन 1 है. क्लियर? तो इसलिए हमने अल्फा का वैल्यू लेस देन 1 लिया है. मैंने यहाँ पे 0.5 लिया है, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7 कुछ भी ले सकते हो. क्लियर?
यस सर.
चलो ये कंप्लीट करते हैं. इसका मैग्नीट्यूड रेस्पॉन्स बताओ क्या होगा 0 पे, ओमेगा 0 पे.
आर्गुमेंट 0 आएगा.
ओमेगा 0 पे कितना होगा?
0.
ओके. सो
वहाँ पे tan इनवर्स ऑफ होगा ना?
tan इनवर्स होगा.
यस सर. आर्क ऑफ
यस tan इनवर्स होगा, आर्क ऑफ 10. राइट tan इनवर्स.
सर पाई के मल्टीपल वैल्यू के लिए ऑलवेज 0 होगा ना?
पाई के मल्टीपल वैल्यू के लिए
ये तो 0 होगा ना, ऊपर में साइन का टर्म है, तो पाई का मल्टीपल लेने पे साइन का वैल्यू 0 आएगा. तो
Okay.
सब 0.
और ट्वाइस पाई पे
ट्वाइस भी 0 ही आएगा.
ट्वाइस पाई पे भी 0. तो मैक्सिमम कहाँ पे आएगा?
सर मैक्सिमम पाई बाय 2 पे आना चाहिए.
पाई बाई 2 पे आना चाहिए.
सर चेक कर लेते हैं.
एक बार चेक करो. सो ये मान ले कि पाई है, सो पाई बाई 2 यहाँ पे होगा, राइट. सो अगर ये 0 क्रॉस कर रहा है, सो इधर से जाके इधर आएगा, राइट. सो पाई पे तो 0 ही होगा. सो ये पाई बाई ये मान ले 0, ये पाई बाई 2, ये 3 पाई बाई 2. सो हमारा जो ये होगा ये इस तरफ से होगा. अच्छा निकालो तो पाई बाई 2 पे इसका वैल्यू पॉजिटिव है कि नेगेटिव है?
नेगेटिव वैल्यू आएगा.
नेगेटिव है पाई बाई 2 पे. तो मान सकते कि ये इस तरफ जाएगा, ऐसे करके ऐसे आएगा, ऐसे जाएगा, राइट. ठीक है. ये है हमारा रेस्पॉन्स. फिर ये इधर से होके ऐसे, सॉरी हाँ ऐसे, फिर ऐसे, इस तरह होगा, राइट. Clear? Now, अगर हम लोग इस दोनों रेस्पॉन्स को देखें, मैग्नीट्यूड रेस्पॉन्स इज इवन, राइट? मैग्नीट्यूड रेस्पॉन्स इज इवन, बट दिस फेज रेस्पॉन्स इज ऑड. तो ये कुछ डिफरेंस है. अगर हम DTFT में देखते हैं, सेम सिग्नल का अगर हम लोग मैग्नीट्यूड रेस्पॉन्स और फेज रेस्पॉन्स निकालते हैं, मैग्नीट्यूड रेस्पॉन्स और फेज रेस्पॉन्स ओरिएंटेशन can be different. So this magnitude response is even if you go with this 0 axis. So this magnitude response is even, and this one as it is on this, it is odd, right? So what is the periodicity of this magnitude response as well as this phase response?
Magnitude response at 2 pi.
Phase response का?
Sir, magnitude वाले का 2 pi.
और phase का?
फेज का सर
वो भी तो 2 पाई है.
2 पाई ही आ रहा है सर.
So both are periodic, twice pi periodic. Twice pi periodic, both of them. Magnitude response is even and this phase response is odd. Clear? So in the same way, you just go and try one problem for this x of n. 2 3 to the power n u of minus n. Okay, just try to find out for this. Fine.
सर DTFS में वहाँ पे जो हम k का लिमिट लेते हैं माइनस इनफाइनाइट, तो 0 to n-1 तक लेते हैं. तो अगर जो भी उसका पीरियड है उसके बीच का कोई वैल्यू ले सकते हैं, बट नंबर ऑफ वैल्यू सेम आना चाहिए.
राइट. मतलब कि वो डिपेंड करता है कि हमारा सिग्नल का ओरिएंटेशन कैसा है. मतलब कि मान लो कि हमारा कुछ इवन सिग्नल है, तो हम लोग उस तरफ इक्वल नंबर ऑफ नेगेटिव पे जा सकते हैं, इक्वल नंबर पॉजिटिव पे आ सकते हैं. लेकिन नंबर ऑफ सैंपल्स, that is periodicity, should be same. N should be same. So either you are taking minus n to n or 0 to n-1, that's supposed to be same. That is the condition. Clear?